Good afternoon, mates. The first one in 3 weeks.
Longest we've gone for.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The way
We
that it
did
worked
actually
out.
put one up last week, obviously, but we didn't record, so
Yeah. And obviously last week I only had a little bit of time before I went to Austria, so it kind of
yeah.
worked out, man.
How was that? How long was the flight?
Yeah, like two hours 15.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it was good. It was, mate, honestly, the trip was really good. Like, it's such a nice place. It's like an hour away from Vienna. So you fly into Vienna and then you drive, and it's called St. Pölten. The place is beautiful. The people are really nice. It's just really fucking good. The only problem was Amy didn't get the result. But
Yeah. Well, what do you put that down to?
I know exactly what it is. I know exactly what it is. So Amy is, when we talk about condition, right? You think about shredded to the bone. But when we talk about condition for bikini, it's different. Okay. For a bikini girl, Amy is very conditioned. You can see quad details, you can see hamstring, you can see the way a ham and glute tie in. You can literally see individual hamstrings on her. You can see, like, no, she's very, very lean, very vascular, striations for adults. But as much as this is great, and you want to be conditioned, like, you want to make sure that that's not the thing that holds you back, right?
Yeah. It doesn't get rewarded in bikini, does it?
Yeah, I mean, she's basically just that little bit too. It's because she's basically flat and lean, and what they would rather is you soft and full. That's the
Yeah.
truth. So
So having done the show in the two, bro, that was the problem then, wasn't it?
I think I've heard this two separate times, and now I've put the pieces together in my head. I think they look for a different look at regionals and qualifiers. Regionals, they look for condition. At qualifiers, they look for fullness.
Yeah, that would
Coach,
make sense. That's kind of similar to even open, because in a regional they kind of want to see like, right, he can die, he can get lean.
sure, yeah,
And then come the qualifier, at that point they're like, right, let's see how full you can get, how much you can balance out the fullness to spilling and things like that.
yeah, definitely, mate. But it's funny. I mean, I I'm gonna do it anyway. I shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit rude of me, but okay, I'm gonna say it as it is. There's this girl, right, who came above Amy.
Hmm.
Amy came fourth, and this girl came third.
Yeah,
There's not a
yeah,
single line on her body, right? So they were rewarding that. So, but if you think about this, if you're not fully conditioned, you can retain fullness better, right? Getting full condition usually means you have to suck down. So a lot of these girls haven't got full condition, but they've got full glutes, and that seems to outweigh everything. So yeah, disappointing for Amy. She's really gutted. Like, it's been such an easy and enjoyable prep for her. So it's a
what if
shame that it ended.
what's next for her then?
Um, I think she's calling time on prep now, not because she's fucked, but because she feels like she needs to grow more glute before she does it again. So yeah, she's gonna go to an off season now.
Makes sense. I mean, she
She
didn't really have an off season as such, did she? So
well, sort of, like, she had spinal surgery in
yeah,
August, and then
that's what I mean.
yeah, so she recovered from that and then went into a surplus. So she kind of did, but it's frustrating, as I say, because she would love to carry on going. She's not fucked at all. She sleeps fine. Her hunger is normal. Her energy is normal. She's absolutely fine. She could go for another fucking 10 weeks if she wanted to.
Yeah.
But it's more because she feels like it's the best move rather than what she wants to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you know what it's like. When you're done, you're done.
Yeah,
So
sure, man, for sure. But how about you, mate? What's going on with you?
good, mate. Yeah. So, I am going to Turkey on the 1st of October to get my hair done.
Yeah.
Me and my mate, we're gonna go together.
Who?
So, Josh. Oh,
Oh,
you're
your
not
client as well.
Josh.
He's
Hmm?
your client, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
I don't even know what your hair looks like anymore. Like how thick it is.
See, I've got a hairline. I've got a strong hairline, you see, but it's more just like thins out. Like, and I know it does. Like, I can say kind of like in the front here, I can sort of see. I know it myself. It's not like like it was a couple of years back. So I just want it really full.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, yours looks good.
Uh, yeah, it's okay. It's like so obviously I had it fucking done 2017, and it's still like not what I wanted it to be. It's just not like, and
Why
I
do you
think
think that is? Do you think maybe you did something wrong, or is it because they did something wrong?
I don't know. It could be a combination of like you going back on gear again, like maybe like going back on cycle. I mean, I didn't really like do anything to do towards that. What they say is you need to massage it, like when it's growing back. They give you some like certain like ointments and they massage it. So I tried all that, but it didn't really help. More so at the back, it's like thinner there. You can
Yeah,
see
yeah, yeah, yeah. How many hairs did you get done?
3,600.
Oh, that's not a lot. I mean, I think they say you're getting as many as you need, but I think they're talking about 10,000.
Oh
Maybe that's
shit.
why.
Well,
Yeah,
it depends on how much donor hair you've got, right?
right.
You know your hair here
Yeah, 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 yeah.
is referred to as donor hair, and if it's not thick enough, if there's not enough, then they won't because then you're just going to be patchy at the bottom.
All right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So
Ah,
they told me not everyone could have that many because they
right.
haven't got thick enough hair at the bottom.
I see. I
Yeah.
got loads of hair down here.
I fucking, I don't know, man. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But the thing is, with your tattoo, like I said, I never really think about your hair because it looks so dark on top because of it, you know?
I know, but I still want to have hair if I can. I mean, like, you can't really see because I've obviously shave it, but
Mm,
I just want to have hair. Just know I can. I'm so used to this look now. I can't even
mm,
imagine myself with hair again. But
mm.
um, yeah, so I'm gonna go and do that. Obviously, training you can't train for like a month,
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's shit.
maybe more.
Yeah. Well, it's basically like what they say is it's the pressure build up. You know, like when
Yeah,
you're training, you strain, you know,
yeah.
can like affect the hairs.
Mm.
I think I had like, yeah, maybe 3 weeks off, then I went back. Oh.
And then
But,
like the first few days is like a nightmare because you can't even lay down. You gotta
oh yeah, yeah, that's shit. And you got to wear that fucking headband thing as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's all right. It'll be fine. I'm more kind of looking forward to that in terms of the content that I can make because I know it's really big on the content side of things where you can talk about certain things, people having it with head tattoos and all of that stuff is
Are you going to document it properly then?
oh yeah. Oh, I mean
Yeah.
it's all gonna be documented for TikTok. So I'm just gonna post it on there and it's gonna be good.
And you go, sorry, beginning of October.
The second, so 3 weeks.
Yeah, 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 3 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so
Um,
that's kind of the bit I'm mostly looking forward to, that I can sort of talk about the whole thing and it'll be good.
definitely, mate.
Oh,
I remember when I had mine done, it was like it's such a bizarre feeling having the hairs. So they obviously they anesthetize you, and
yeah,
then you can literally feel them like fucking prodding around in your hair, and they open up like, spots and then implant there. So what they do is they take hair first. First thing they do is they take all the hair, and literally, if you look onto the table, there's loads of little hairs on the table.
yeah, right.
They've taken them out, yeah, and they like create space in your head and just plonk it in, plonk, plonk. It's
So you're
fucking
talking
mad.
4,000 hairs, like each individual pieces of hair. That must take forever.
It's 6 hours. Mine took 6 hours.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I fell asleep though, bro. Like it's like you end up just like getting so tired
Yeah,
and
yeah,
shit, you
yeah,
know. So do you know what's weird with me? I was in Turkey. So yeah, it's Turkey, right? No one was speaking English, and what they did is I started seeing loads of blood, my own blood. What they did is they come and got a tea cloth. They put it over my face. So I started panicking. I'm thinking, right, so they're all like, talking quite frantically. I can see my own blood, and then they cover up my eyes. I was like, fuck. So I got rid of my hand out and I pulled it off. And they explained to me that basically, like some people freak out with the blood. So they're trying to just calm me down by putting it over my face, but it made me worse.
it made it worse. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
So
I think they're a lot better now because obviously back in 2017, now because we just went to Turkey, didn't we? Pretty much everyone spoke. Well, again, like obviously it's a resort, so you get a lot of English speaking people, but I reckon like obviously over in Istanbul, they're going to speak English. So
for sure. Yeah, definitely.
you get a lot of people that are obviously from England. So I can't imagine they're not going to be like speak English. So
Yeah, no, you'll be fine, man. I feel like every time I've gone to Turkey, I've really enjoyed it. It's like a really friendly place. I really like it.
yeah, yeah, really good.
Yeah. Who is Bex going?
No, so we've had a bit of a thing with the dogs again. So they got tied up again. So do you know when they like? So basically, what happens is it's funny. So the girl was on her. She was in season, and we were trying to keep them away, but like it was like she basically stopped bleeding. So I was just like, oh, she'll be all right. So I let her out, and he obviously got hold of her. Mate, when we got there, when we saw them, they were literally like stuck together. Like what happens is he obviously goes to fuck her, and then his dick goes in her, and then it must expand. I mean,
What?
yeah, I'd never seen such thing before. Before that was the first time I've seen that. Expands, and then they're stuck. They can't move. It's like they're like
What?
glued together.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they must have been stuck. Sometimes apparently they get stuck for like hours. So they must have been stuck for about 20 minutes.
How'd you unstick them?
You don't. They just unstick each other.
Dick just gets smaller over time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what does that mean now? Is she pregnant?
It means she could be. So yeah. So we're obviously going to go get a scan in a week and find out. But yeah, we're only going to go for 3 days anyway. But she was gonna come with, but obviously now with all the dogs and all that, and yeah, so it was just going to be me and Josh. And you can't really do anything there, can you? Because you're just there for that.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
Oh shit, that's funny. I fucking hell. They're so fertile.
I
They're
know.
so fertile. Like it doesn't take like like humans. They go after how many times does a human have to do it? And they just do it one time.
One time, yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. So she could be. She's given us signs that she might be. Like she eats less, like certain things that you kind of notice, like we did before, like last time. Like she will eat less and certain things like
But
that.
but you didn't want it. You didn't want this situation.
Oh fuck no, no, it's a nightmare.
Mm.
But there's this woman that she does this thing where she'll take them on, basically. She looks after them for you. So, you can pay, and then obviously she takes on the dogs and she takes care of them. So they might do that for the first couple of weeks, just because it's like it's a lot. It's a lot.
Oh, do you have like a dog sitter like when you go away and stuff? Where do you put the dogs?
Yeah, so when we went away to Turkey, one of my clients, she's a mate of mine as well. She lives just around the corner. So she was coming in, she was just obviously feeding them and all that. Because we could have sent him into kennels, but that's just it's stress for the dogs.
Mm.
It's expensive as well. I mean, you're probably looking for both of them for like for like 1 week. You're probably looking 600-700 quid, maybe more.
Fucking hell.
So she was coming in twice a day, feeding them and that. So it was all right.
Yeah, that's all right. We when we went away, we put Franco in with some like girl who did it privately,
Yeah,
and it's like a bit cheaper, but it was a bit more risky because you don't really know who they are or anything. Like, it's not a registered person. But yeah, it works all right. We came back and he's like skinnier though. Like he looks
yeah.
like, and we put on his harness, and he like doesn't fill out anymore.
It's
So,
stress for the dogs as well. It's stress because obviously not only you've left, but the dog's like, well, why am I somewhere else? Like at least if they're in their house, I see it like it's a bit better.
yeah, for sure,
So
for sure.
so we kind of thought we'll do that. But yeah, now if she obviously ends up having puppies again, and then yeah, we'll probably end up just putting him in with the girl that does the care,
Yeah, yeah.
and then at least for a couple of weeks, depending on how many there are too. Sometimes if there's like 8 of them, you know.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I remember you were stressed from it last time.
Not for me, it was more for her. Like but I was in prep, so for me it was kind of I
Yeah,
was
you
completely
said it was
like,
stressful, but you didn't do anything.
oh, I didn't do shit, no. But it was more stressful because like she was stuck here and we couldn't do anything, we couldn't go anywhere. It was more that on that front, especially yeah. But I mean, she slept down here and then all that. I was obviously slept upstairs and that. So it's not ideal. It's a lot of work. So
Yeah. Oh well, but mate, so what else is going on with you? Like, are you actually enjoying training again? Are you? Because I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like bodybuilding's gone like on the back burner for you at the moment.
yeah, I'm for me, it's more. I've got a lot more other kind of focuses at the minute that I'm keeping myself busy with rather than bodybuilding. I've kind of just since that prep, I've kind of just lost it. It's just got like gone for me. It's kind of like I would go to the gym and I'll be clock watching. Like, when have you ever done that? Like, I've never done that where I'm like, right, how long have I been here?
Doing that now.
Yeah. I have actually probably have I haven't been to the gym in probably a week just because I'm like, look, I can't it's not it's not productive because I'll go to the gym. One, I'll be kind of forcing myself to go to the gym where I'll be like, I don't kind of really be bothered, but I kind of like I know I need to. So I'll go in the gym and I'll just be like my workout will be kind of half hours because you know what it's like when you're not really wanting to be there, you're not really gonna put the effort in. I'll just be like clock watching and be like, right, I've been here 40 minutes. Fuck. At least another 20 minutes. You know, and it's like that. That's not good.
That's not right. Shit, yeah, I thought that you were going to get it back. Obviously, you said you lost it, and then I thought it was just going to come back naturally, but it hasn't come back.
I thought that too, and I've kind of waited for that, but it just hasn't. Obviously, I've been off gear for since my show, since April.
Was it
So I
just
haven't
TRT?
huh?
Was it just TRT?
Yeah, just TRT.
Yeah.
And that is it.
Mm, that's funny. So what's taking your interest at the moment?
Well, I'm just busy with a lot of the TikTok stuff. That's become like a full-time job now. Like I'm constantly like having to do work for that, and we've got a couple of other things that we're working on at the minute with her, and it's just that's kind of taken on a lot of time when it comes to like business side of things, and yeah, so a lot of the bodybuilding stuff's kind of just like fizzled off for me a little bit. But like I've not really got an interest in it as much at the moment.
Do you think it's because of the prep?
I think so. I think that's had it's a massive factor as to that's kind of when I stopped enjoying training and it kind of just felt like a chore. And I've just not been able to get it back since.
Do you, can you elaborate a little bit onto that? What about the prep? Was it extreme or because, what was it?
I mean, like throughout the prep, like the first part of prep, I was kind of like my training was really good. I obviously, yes, it was extreme, but I wasn't that bothered about the diet so much, like meaning in a way that yes, it was just an extreme diet and I dropped a lot of weight quickly. But it that then started to kill my training off. Hours of cardio every single like I was on an hour and a half of fucking cardio, even more. It was I think like at one point I was like an hour and 40 minutes of cardio. It was just that's just enough to kind of like kill your want for like it almost just kind of felt like a chore. My training started to go downhill. So after that point, I was just kind of like, and then coupled with the fact that maybe had I looked good on stage and I was obviously happy with that look, I would have been like, okay, at least it was worth it. But how it ended was obviously probably the biggest thing that's kind of really made me like not enjoy like the whole process.
It's a shame, innit? Because now when you think about competitive bodybuilding, like the actual compete side of things, you've got like negative memories. You've got negative thoughts towards it.
I wouldn't say it's negative. It's just something that's again, it wasn't so much about the actual stage. It was more about the process of it. Towards the end, it was just I was getting worse, but I was dieting harder, but getting worse. And I was just like, no, I don't know. Yeah. So obviously then coming off the back of that, I didn't really take a break. I just went straight back into it. And I was just, yeah, it just kind of took its toll, I guess. So in the end, I kind of tried to like, I'm like, right, I could take a couple of days off, go back. And it just was not happening.
Hmm.
So in the end, I was just like, look, I'm going to take some time off. I was speaking to Hilly about this as well. I'm just going to take some time off, probably, and then work out why or what I need to do to get back into like getting that. want to train.
You actually stop with Hilly now.
No, no, but
You carry
obviously,
on.
again, that's just more kind of like last week that I kind of made. I'll still look. I'd still go 4 times, at least like 4 days a week. I'll train. But like I said, none of those sessions were, and especially even more so. You know, when you go to the gym and you have a shit session, and it's not because you're dieted, it's not because you're hungry, it's not because you're lower body fat, but it's because you don't really want to be in the gym. Makes you having a shit session literally like ruins the rest of that like day, puts you in like a shit mindset.
I don't. I'd never have that. The only reason I would have that is because I was like in the latter stages of prep with zero energy.
Yeah. It's
Other than
funny
that,
because I've had friends in the past where they were so into bodybuilding and just out of nowhere, just like that, and they just lose it. And I used to say to this guy, he had like a crazy physique and he used to train down in Portsmouth, and then just out of nowhere, he stopped. And I used to just say to him, like, how can you not want to be big? Like, I just could not get it. I'm like, how can you not want to train and be big? And he's just like, I'm just done. I just don't really, just kind of like, it's kind of like done for me now. I'm just happy like to not do it anymore. And I could not get it. I could not grasp that. I'm like, how can that be? How can that be? And now I'm starting to get it. I'm like, I see what he means.
so do you? So on that exactly that wording, do you feel like you would be okay now to be like properly downsized?
You know, it's funny because I kind of think like I look at some like normal people now. Like before, I'd kind of like look down on that and I'll be like, nah. But now I kind of think, would I mind looking like that? And I still think probably not. I probably would not want to look like that. And I'm sure it will come back. But I think forcing it is not the way.
Right.
So, you know, it's just kind of trying to get that. And again, like I'll always have to have an involvement of some sort, whether it's bodybuilding or again, I can't powerlift anymore because and I wouldn't want to anyway. But I couldn't do it because of obviously the pec and all that. And again, that's another thing. Like my body is actually quite not quite injured, but like because of that pec will then pull on my shoulder. So then my lat gets really tight. So then I get like a tightness in my lat. So it's difficult to contract one of my lats. It's just a nightmare, just like having to work around shit so much. So it's just kind of it's a lot of different factors like all in one. And that's only just kind of recently came about with the lat tightness and the chest and that. So I don't know.
It's funny. I've had these thoughts. I thought to myself, well, what would I do if I wasn't a bodybuilder? Because I feel like being a bodybuilder and being big is like ingrained within my who I
Yeah.
am. It's like part of my identity. And I thought to myself, like, how am I going to be when the time comes where I can't be big anymore? Like, I'm not saying you just get to like 40, 45, and then all of a sudden you just switch off. But what I mean is, there is going to be a time when you have to downsize. And
Yeah.
I thought to myself, how am I going to deal with that? And actually, in the last probably year, in the last year, I've started to have thoughts of like, it's going to be okay because I'm so sick and tired of force feeding food.
Yeah.
Like force feeding food for me literally kills the enjoyment. I can only do it for short spells.
I think people that, you know, when people say, oh, downsizing, that's going to be difficult, like they kind of struggle to. I look exactly the same. I look no different. My legs are slightly flatter because I actually haven't trained those in probably 3 months properly because of they're constantly getting tattooed every single week. But apart from that, like my upper body looks exactly the same. But then mindset wise, right? Normally I'll just put a t-shirt on and I'll just be like, oh, I look small. You know what it's like, right? Like now, like we went out the weekend and I put this a top on and I'm like, I didn't think, do I look small? Weird. It's weird. It's like, but equally, like if you're fully into bodybuilding, you just constantly think about, do I look small? I think if I started to lose size, that would probably be the point where I'm like, right, okay, I need to get that back on.
You
But I'm
feel
still
like at the
so.
moment you're just holding size just absolutely fine.
Oh, I haven't dropped it. Like I haven't dropped on the scale or I haven't dropped size whatsoever.
Thing is, I find if I were to do that, I wouldn't drop so much on the scales, but my proportions would change. So my legs and arm, my limbs would get like, smaller in
Yeah.
circumference, but my stomach would be bigger.
No, because I mean, like, I let me try and find those last check-in shots that I sent on Wednesday to Hilly, and I'll show you, and you see like they're not like I'm not getting that like
But you're
where
still
like
training
normal,
4 times a week.
huh?
But you're still training four
But it's
times a week.
half-assed though, bro. It's literally like but below half-ass. It's like when you just go in and you just go for maybe for normal people, maybe that's hard. But for my standard and your standard and what we normally train like, imagine if you go in the gym and rather than picking up the 55, 60 kilo dumbbell like you normally would, you just pick up like the 30s and you just like rep out 4 sets and you just like, it's kind of like that. It's not like go in, get a pump, get an arm pump. My arms are still the same size, but it's like, it's not like the same. It's weird. Like, but then again, like I haven't really dropped size weirdly. So look,
What's the difference in the pants? So what's what? Which is when?
so the one is the week before, and then one is
Oh,
the
okay.
week right. So you compare like from last check-in to this check-in.
Right, right. Yeah. So if you can hold on to it like by doing that, then it's fair. I feel like you're probably
I don't
not
think you
going to.
can.
Sorry again.
It's going to be a point that you're going to start to atrophy, like everyone does.
Mm. But how much? I mean, if you're still going in and doing some sort of volume, I don't think you're going to atrophy massively. You're just going to lose that pop.
So this is it. If I can stay this size, which I'm kind of like, I would be happy to be this size. Now, if I could maintain that, I would be happy with that. But I don't think I'm that type of person that just maintain. I'll either go, no, I can't just maintain. You need to progress, or
Yeah,
you
I feel like.
off and do something
I
else.
feel like you're. Yeah, that won't suit you. Just
No,
to be. Yeah.
no. That's because that's a waste of time. That is a literally waste of time.
So
So
I guess maintain it, but it's a waste of time. But maintain it until you figure it out.
yes, yeah. So and I'll have plenty of time to do that because again, like off to Turkey, then I'm forced to be out of the gym for at least a month. But yeah, it's just such a shame, isn't it? Because like prior to starting this prep, I was all in and I was just so all about it. And now, like as the prep went on towards the end, I was just like, no. And it's just went like, overnight. Overnight, it's just gone.
It's weird. It's like I think it's a shame that you've lost the love, but maybe in your head right now, you kind of like because you don't really care. Like you're happy to do the next thing.
That's
Like maybe it
I've
does. Maybe it
got
doesn't feel like a shame to you. Is what I'm trying to say.
no, not at all, not at all. I've
Yeah.
got stuck. Oh, like all these other. I find that's why bodybuilders struggle because they get to a point where they're almost injured or like they're forced to kind of retire from bodybuilding, but they've got nothing else going on in their life, just bodybuilding. And that's where you kind of tend to, people are going to tend to start struggle.
So this is an interesting one, right? Because people always say this. Like people will make this statement. They'll go like, "Oh, why didn't you go out on the weekend, for example? Oh, don't be boring. Don't be boring. Or if you don't drink, oh, it's boring. Or if you don't go out, it's socialize with your friends. Oh, it's boring." But sometimes, like people derive enjoyment from different things.
Yeah,
Going out on the weekends and getting pissed is not where I get joy from. But in the Western society, that is how you be fun. To be fun, you go and party, right? I've done all that shit. I don't want to do that anymore. So that's not where I derive fun from. So as a bodybuilder, what you just said, the statement you just made, like bodybuilders don't have anything else. I don't have that much else, but I don't want anything else. I'm content with doing what I'm doing rather than trying to force other hobbies and stuff like that.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you see what I'm saying?
And that's completely fine. That's completely fine to be like that. To kind of be more linear into like one thing.
But what happens after?
Oh, you've still got time until you get to that to after.
The way that I see it is throughout my whole life, I've never really planned ahead like that. I
Yeah,
find things figure themselves out. So instead of thinking, so I'm 36, right? Instead of thinking when I'm 40, what I'm going to be like, I don't do that. I just allow the time to happen. And in that time, you adapt.
Mm.
So by the time it comes, I'll be more prepared, if that makes sense, because it happens gradually, day by day, by day by day. Um, for example, I'm into arm wrestling. I know you hate arm wrestling, but I'm into arm wrestling, right?
Only because I've seen so many people snap their arms, and obviously that I've got the injury from that people get with.
Yeah. So I'm into arm wrestling. I've been into it for years and years and years. I'm into
Yeah,
arm wrestling. I'm into like music and drums.
music. Yeah,
So there are stuff, there are things that I like, but um, instead of worrying about what happens after, just let it play out. But as I say, the idea of going places and not having to prepare food and not having to force feed, I really like that thought. Like to
yeah,
me, what that does to me is it comforts me because
yeah,
I think to myself, "Oh, after bodybuilding's gone, I'm going to be fucked." But then I think to myself, "Well, hold on a minute, it could be really nice. You don't have to force feed food anymore." To me, that really makes me feel like a sigh of relief.
it's
It's
been
going to be
nice as well because like the last, wow, I say like it's been just the last week where I just like wake up and I'm not straight away just eating. I'll kind of wait a little
yeah,
bit, go out, do some steps, get some movement in, then I'll kind of eat. And obviously, you're still always going to be mindful of protein
yeah,
and stuff like
sure,
that.
sure, 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 sure.
You're not going to go and all of a sudden just the fact that you've not got to force six or eat 6 meals in, and if you haven't got the 6 meals, obviously you fall behind. It's nice.
Yeah,
So
you're absolutely right. That's actually the phase that I'm in right now. So I've taken my calories down, and I don't have my first meal until about 11 o'clock in the morning. I wake up at like 7, 8, and I
yeah.
don't, and I go and do a bit of cardio, and then whatever, and then I don't eat till 11. It's so nice.
Yeah.
I much prefer living that way. I don't like sporting from the moment I wake up. So,
Yeah. And like a lot of people that try and come off of that, try and kind of like justify it in a way. Like a friend of mine, he always does this when he's like, oh, bodybuilding this, bodybuilding that. And he almost slate it and he'll like, give like reasons as to why he's not doing it. Like, oh, it's for the health. Oh, it's for this. No, just say it. Just say you don't want to do it.
yeah,
That's,
yeah, 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 yeah.
just say, rather than going, oh, well, it's unhealthy. No, just say, look, I just don't really want to do it anymore.
I do anymore, yeah. There's a guy up here is like that as well. And because he doesn't do it anymore, he has to slate it.
Oh, yeah, no.
And it's like, look, bro, you can move on and do your thing. It's fine. You don't have to like slag everyone else off because they still do it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I know.
But
Oh,
I
but it's like,
really hope it does come back and it comes back where, to that same. I tell you what, it's not the bodybuilding lifestyle in a way that it's not the eating. That doesn't bother me. It's the training. I hate not enjoying training.
mm-hmm.
Waking up and thinking, oh, fucking train. And then like you kind of get yourself, that like in before the gym kind of think like kind of like mindset when you just like think, oh, I can't really be bothered. And then you kind of turn up and you're like, right, what's the time?
Yeah, that is an awful feeling. This is what normal people feel.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
this is what
yeah.
normal people feel.
When people, I kind of get that when people are like, oh, how do I motivate myself? And I will always be like, what do you mean? There's no such thing. So that's what told me, look, you need to step back a little bit and then, you can't
Yeah.
force it.
Yeah, that's it. Like instead of like trying to force the issue because it'll probably end up pushing you further away. So just like
Well,
maybe the time off after your hair.
Mhm.
Maybe that will make you, you
Yeah,
know,
it's
like,
that. And it just stresses you outside of the gym because you've had a shit workout and now you're in a stress with everyone and you're miserable with everyone. And you're just taking it out on other people because you've had a shit workout. And it's kind of like, rather than you go to the gym and you feel better, you feel worse.
So the only time like I say, I don't feel that. The only time I feel that is if I'm super depleted, like
Yeah.
right at the arse in the prep. And the way that I can describe like the idea of like straining, like when you do like leg press and like your legs coming in compressed, like like when you're fucked on energy, the idea of that, or like doing an RDL, bending over, oh, like the idea of getting it working up a sweat, I just can't be bothered to do it. But I never,
Not like an
ever, ever.
energy thing. It's more like imagine a job, right? that you're working, I don't know, you're working in McDonald's and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, I got to do a 12-hour fucking shift. Fuck my life. It's a bit like that. You know, when you're just, oh, like I can't be bothered. Rather than waking up and and you just think, I can't wait to go to the gym.
Yeah. Shit, man, that's fucked. It's fucked. It's a shame. Let's say, mate. Hopefully it'll come back. Hopefully it'll come back. But,
I'm sure it will. But yeah, you know, I've tried everything. I've tried going to shows so I can watch people compete, where, you know, that normally kind of works. Watch other people compete, watching people training, like it. Meh.
yeah.
Podcast, like at the minute, the bodybuilding podcast, like I can't really be like, you know, some like other times you're like, oh, that's come out, I can't wait to see it. Now I'm like, can't bother watching.
Yeah, yes, God. Did you say you went to FitX on the weekend?
No,
I swear you said. Was that when did you put it in the group? Because there wasn't a FitX this weekend, was there?
yeah, no, I just saw
No.
pictures.
But I'm confused because like they're not very good at like updating their social media.
They're terrible, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you consider how good PCA is, and Two Bros, even it's all the time, right? With FitX, I don't even know.
I know. They don't even put a
Um,
picture of the overall winner. You just think,
I don't know who won any categories or anything like that. I don't know anything.
no, I don't.
Fucking
No, I haven't been to a show in, well, a while now, to be fair. I think maybe the Union was the last one.
maybe you need to go to one because you said like to help motivate you. Because you obviously there was a few that you went to around that time. But maybe you
Maybe
need
I
to go
did
to
go
one
to
again.
one then after that. Uh,
I've got a bit of news anyway.
yeah,
It was like it was going to be some news, and then it sort of like faltered a little bit, right? So, I had a short list of who I wanted as a coach.
yeah,
And then I ended up contacting Nate Styles
yeah,
to go with Nath. And first and foremost, he is such a good dude, and he put a lot of effort into what he sent over to me. It was like a 30-minute video explaining a few bits and bobs. He apologized for how long it was. It was really thorough. It was really, really good. But I have chose to wait, and I'm not 100% sold on him. So I feel guilty because he made me that video, but I wasn't fully sold.
why?
And I wasn't fully sold because basically Martin used to do the daily tracker. Like basically how many times you farted today. Well, no, I'm obviously taking the piss. But like minutia,
Yes,
every fucking thing that happened in the day. And I found that it was just a bit tedious. And not only did he make me feel that in for a best part of a year, he then just fucked up at the end. So all of that was pointless. And now in my head, I'm like, fuck that bullshit.
yeah,
Nath wants a daily tracker. So already I'm like, red flag. Right. And then he sends over the training. And I'll give you an example. Like, I know that my arms, chest, and quads, arms, chest, legs. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to bring up. So I distribute plenty of volume towards those body parts. And he sent over a training plan, and it was like half the volume of what I would do on arms, and it was like quite considerably less on chest. Everything's just 2 sets on everything. And I quite like that, but I also quite like, I don't know. I'm definitely swaying more towards slightly more volume these
I
days.
do too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, not like crazy volume, but not low volume. Just
yeah,
somewhere here,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. 3 or 4 sets.
Yeah. Somewhere 2 to 4. Like it depends on the movement,
Yeah,
depends on whatever, right? It's fine. But anyway, everything was 2 sets. The volume was reduced. The daily tracker, even like some of the supplements, it was just quite a lot. It was like, it was quite intense, and I wasn't fully sold on it. I'll be honest. It's no knock on Nath, and I'm sure it works. No, in fact, it definitely works because he's made 2 IFBB pros, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
Like Nath is awesome, and he's got really good knowledge. So it's not personal. I just
Mate,
don't know
of
if it works for
course
me.
it works. Anything works.
Of
It's just
course,
whether
of
does it
course.
work for you. So the daily tracker, that's just like the trendiest thing to do now. Every fucking coach does this. Kuba and all of the, especially that like the whole JP camp.
Mm-hmm.
That's their shit, right?
That's what Nate's from. That Nate's from the
But
JP.
remember when I said that to you? I said Nath is basically like JP. Like he will just kind of give you that sort of shit. The training, the back off and bloating set. Like from stuff I've seen, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to do that. 1,000 fucking cream of rice meals every fucking day. Just the training, the tracking, the overly fucking anal tracking. This is good. If you're someone who's just not starting out, but someone who's just like an entry level, like I don't need to tell you that I've got bad digestion. After like having it for a fucking week, I will tell you as soon as it fucking happens.
Absolutely, yeah.
See, this is why I like Hilly, because he obviously is part of the JP, but he is completely not opposite, but he's very much himself, right? So the training, it's going to kind of go, right, what have you done training wise? What have you enjoyed? What's worked? What hasn't worked? And it will kind of be tailored to you and your likes and dislikes, because training is really important. I mean, he's got some people on very low volume, he's got some people on very fucking high volume.
Depends
Not
on the person.
everyone gets 2 sets. Not everyone gets the same training,
Mm-hmm.
right? The diet, what do you like? I said to him, look, I just want chicken and rice. Well, 4 chicken and rice meals, 1 beef and rice, and I get a yogurt meal. So, but that's just because of what I want. Deck, for example, he gets fucking slices of toast, fucking bread. That's what he likes. That's what he wants. Dan gets other bullshit like the stuff that he likes. Mm-hmm. We all get the shit that we want. And that's part of training someone who's been at it for a long time. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not, it's a lot more, like I said, a matter of, yes, he is the coach, but equally so, you need to have that initial kind of say as to what you do, or what's worked well for you. Like, I know he's changed Dan's training massively, because Dan was obviously always really low volume. Now he's upped his volume because he feels like that's what will work better. But they've had that chat. Mm-hmm. So,
I think that well, that's just the thing, right? So I said my concerns to Nate. I said, I don't know if the training I fully align with. I don't know if the daily tracker. And he came back to me and he was really diplomatic, and he again, like, he's a gentleman, like he's fucking cool. Yeah. I feel like I've got to say this because I don't want it to seem like I'm being negative. Like, he's a great dude, right? But he then said, well, then we could maybe have a word about your training. We could start tailoring it towards you. But then I thought to myself, well, hold on, now it's no longer you. Now it's more me dictating to you, and I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like if I go with someone, I want to buy into their methodology, and actually, 50% of Nave's methodology, I don't know if I fully align with. So now I'm like, well, what's even the point? Like, if I'm not aligning with you, what's the point? That's where my brain goes.
Yeah. Well, again, I think that initial talk that you have is where you gather a lot of information, because again, like my let's say I'm coaching you, my methodology could be this, but also you need to gather data from someone who's done bodybuilding for 15 years and won 1 million shows. That's also very fucking valuable.
Yeah.
So I think, again, like you've got to have a mix of both. You're not someone who's just starting out and you ain't got a clue. You've tried everything. So for someone to say, no, you must do this. Well, hold on, I've tried that.
And again, when it goes back to like
the whole supplement thing as well.
Sorry, again.
The whole supplement thing as well, because that was my thing. I kind of thought, because he's part of the JP, I'm like, he's probably going to give me about 20 million supplements. No, the supplement thing is, he's like, look, the kind of like must supplements, or the supplements I think you should definitely use, like your glutamine, your creatine, and your whey protein. And he's like, maybe a good fish oil. He said, that's pretty much it. He said, the rest is optional. He said, if you want it, here's a list of what I recommend, what I would use. If you're on cycle, here's a list of what I would recommend and what you would use. But you don't have to.
Yeah,
we'll do your blood work, and then we'll see, maybe add this, maybe add that,
Yeah, Nave's done a variation of that as well, to be fair. But there was still like, it's quite overwhelming, and maybe it's I'm a little bit stuck in my ways. But like, there was like about 6 or 7 different things. You go to do fasted cardio, and there's about fucking a list as long as my fucking arm about shit you got to take before. And I'm just like, it's a little bit overwhelming, and I don't know if that's the side of bodybuilding that I like, which we kind of covered before. For me, that almost removes the fun for me.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing with the cardio, I said to Hilly, I said, like, look, he said, look, you can go and do a walk outside for your fasted thing, but just to get some steps fasted. But for my cardio, I said, I'll just do a post-workout. He says, fine. Because it doesn't have to be fucking complicated. Get the fucking
No,
cardio
it
in.
doesn't. No, no, yeah, yeah, you're right, you're right. I think like, it was more like he was like, yeah, so telmisartan, metformin, L-carnitine. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but like I say, about 6 different things just before,
Yeah.
and I'm like HGH, Lantus. So anyway, and I was just like, it's just a lot. And as I say, for me, that's not why I bodybuild. I don't like the chemistry is a necessary evil rather than like a what can I take? That's just not where my brain works. So I don't know.
I tell you
Um,
what's been really nice as well. I've literally, since like the show, I've literally taken one shot of test, 200 meg. And that's been like for a bear, I was taking 100 Masteron as well. And that's been it once a week. Not
yeah,
having to jab yourself every fucking day.
yeah, it's long winded, right? It's long winded.
Not having to jab like a million things. Not having to jab fucking growth twice a day. This, that, and the other.
So I guess then the argument would be in favor of doing those things. Well, you're already at a level, right? So for you to go up, you need to do these things, and that could well be true. But again, I will fight back a little bit, and I think that the bigger changes can be made just through training and diet. I believe, I believe just being in an off season in a growth phase, eating really good quality foods and trying to grow muscle that way makes a way bigger difference than whether or not I'm using fucking Telmisartan and metformin. Do you see what I'm saying?
I
Like,
would, I would, I wouldn't even try and dispute that.
yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah,
no,
no,
I'm
no, yeah.
saying that.
So
I wouldn't even.
I think what the reason why I say that I make that statement is because people go, oh, it's those little 1%. I think to myself, you're missing the big picture. For me, the big picture is just the basics. The
Yeah.
basics work
Well, the problem
far
is most
away.
people don't even get the basics right.
Well,
They
yeah,
can't
yeah,
stick to
yeah.
their diet because I got these clients. I mean, we've all got these clients where they'll go, "What can I take?" And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
"You fell off your diet third fucking week in a row. Like,
yeah,
what
yeah,
do
yeah.
you want me to fucking do? Like?"
Definitely. Yeah, the key is how hard you train, which obviously I do already, but like making good decisions in prep because like bringing me into my best shape. How much how much muscle am I going to be building at 36 realistically? Not ginormous amounts. Let's be real. I'm not. So all I need to do is someone to guide me and make me not make irrational decisions on prep. I don't need someone to monitor how many times I've had a shit in the day, and how many
Yeah.
times I fucking farted, or how many times I
But
fucking
then, couldn't
walked
you
outside.
just have that your close circle of friends do that for you? People that you trust. It surely
Potentially, potentially, yeah.
surely forking out 200 quid a month on a coach is kind of, and this is the other thing. I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend 200 quid a month on a coach where I'm not even gonna like. I'll never be a pro bodybuilder. Let's be honest. Like me and you, we're never gonna be pro bodybuilders to where you're at a level where you can justify spending that much money a month.
So yeah, I think this too. I think it's such sacrifice and such like financial sacrifice, and
Yeah.
where is it going to end up? Like I know I'm already of a level, but how much further have I got? Like, let's be
I
real.
mean, let's say you do turn pro, and obviously that's kind of your words. Anyway, so it's kind of like you're like, how far am I going to get? So it's kind of like, right. So I'm putting, and this is kind of like partly why I am in that mindset I'm in, where I'm like, it's a lot of energy out of your day to do this.
And there needs to be like good reason. So for me, I know that if I ever make it as a pro, if I make the IPB card, that's pretty much the end for me. I'll do a pro show just so I can tell I've done it. I'm not going to get anything, am I? But it's kind of the end of the road for me. So I need to shift my mindset away from how far I can go and more about enjoyment. So that's where it comes back to daily tracker. Tell Miss Art and thought like no. So now it comes down to enjoyment. For me to
Yeah.
enjoy it, I need to not be such a fucking anal prick. Do you know what I'm on about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
enjoyment has to be first.
that's what I enjoyed about my check-ins, because in my check-ins, you don't have any of that bullshit.
Yeah, I can't be asked with
It's
it.
literally like you write up the stuff that you think is relevant.
Perfect. I'm fine with that. That's
So
fine.
there isn't, and then obviously if anything crops up in between check-ins, and the check-ins were like, they weren't like some kind of my main check-in started on like a Wednesday. And then he was like, right, we're going to start altering check-ins to where I'll check in on a Wednesday, goes, check in Friday. He'll go, check in Monday. And I'll check in again on Wednesday. He'll go, check in next Monday. So he'll kind of just be like dependent on what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Rather than it being, this is your check-in day.
So I'm absolutely fine to answer these questions once a week. It's the daily bit that bothers me. Because what the fuck do you need to know? When I'm like, let's just say, for example, I'm 3 weeks into a growth phase. My competition is not for another 8 months. Why do you need to know my blood glucose level on a random Tuesday afternoon? Like, don't worry about it. Like for me, it just
once a month.
If you're just about to start insulin, or you just okay, cool. If there's a change that's going to happen, sure. But like the daily, like no. For me, again, just to repeat myself, enjoyment first. And
Yeah.
doing all that bullshit, icky 2023 bodybuilding shit, no. No. That's not why I started bodybuilding. And I'm sure there is plenty of people who watch this, or even people that I never even spoke to, who think the same thing. It's like there's this new school approach of like, you know, the expression paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
Like overthinking everything, thinking, oh, you need to be at this angle, and then, oh, well, you're gonna. It's not optimal. And like for me, nope. I've only got a finite amount of time left. Let's say I've got 4 really good years left for me. I have to enjoy them. Have to. So no. So that's the update with me. I don't think that we align, which is a shame. But yeah,
I think Jim Giorgio is
he's more old school, which already appeals to me.
Yeah.
It appeals to me.
So obviously Jim, I think he could be one that again, I don't really know much about his drug protocols or his kind of like diet methodologies or anything like that. I think you need a mix of both. You need someone that's like old school but also practical. So you're not having to do fasted cardio and you can just do it fed in the off season. It doesn't fucking matter. But also someone that's kind of like a bit bro.
Sure, right. I wouldn't want to say that 2023 bodybuilders are all shit, because there's definitely some merit to what they're doing, right? Science and information progresses with time. But that's just a fact.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's over analysis, right? So I think, as you just mentioned, someone who is old school at heart, but is able to incorporate certain things that are beneficial, right?
Yeah.
That's how I see myself. That's what I view myself as. I think that I am basic, but there's a few modern twists, and that's kind of what I want as well. And I went with Martin, and I didn't agree with a lot of the shit he did.
No.
And I accepted that, but I won't accept it again.
No, and I think that's important. That is important to be with someone that kind of aligns with what you would enjoy.
Yeah, that's it,
so,
man. That's it.
So
I've got a question for you as well, mate. I've got a question. I've been thinking about this, and I thought I'm going to ask Dave. This is not a trick question. This is like straight up question, right? If there was a gun to your head, right? Someone broke in your house at midnight, fucking held a gun to your head, and he said, Dave, you motherfucker have got to grow 2 inches on your quads in 6 months, or I'm going to fucking kill you. Right? How do you approach the next months?
2 inches in 6 months.
Yeah, like a dramatic amount. Let's say they're already maxed out. Yeah, let's say at the moment they're 30 inches, for example.
Yeah.
Off season, you need to go to 32, or I will kill you.
Does it matter if it's fat or?
It just.
Just shit, 2 inches.
Okay, no. We're talking muscle.
Muscle, okay.
Yeah.
Because obviously you can just get fat, can't you?
Sure, okay. So it needs to be muscle. So how do you approach the next 6 months?
I would probably drop off all of my upper body training, and I'd probably just train quads, legs as often as they're recovered.
Okay. And what would you do volume-wise?
Well, you would work out how much volume you can tolerate, can't you? Within weekly. I'll probably train 3 times a week, like on let's say a Monday, Wednesday, Friday type scenario. And then let's say Monday will be quads, Wednesday hamstrings, and then Friday again with glutes and all that incorporated. Friday quads again.
Okay, let me rephrase. Would you sway more towards high volume? As in, like, you'd hammer it?
I think what I would do is probably for quads is always, I always find quads is high volume. Higher volume works better for quads. When my quads were at their biggest, my volume was the highest. I always found quads volume works better for quads. And scientifically, it makes sense because as a muscle, by design, they are something that's designed for you to walk long distance and things like that. Hamstrings is the opposite. Hamstrings is more heavier work, shorter reps, because they're like used for you to slow down, like decelerate, things like that. So they're more of a high twitch. That's my thinking.
Okay. I want to keep this question going, so I'm not going to conclude it yet. Let's say that same person says, "Right, fuck your legs. I made a mistake.
Right.
Arms. You need to grow 2 inches on your arms, and I'm going to reduce the time. 2 inches of muscle needs to go on your arm in 3 months. How do you approach those next 3 months? Not a trick question. Then you want to know what your approach would be.
Arms is a tricky one, isn't it? Because arms, like putting on that much muscle on your arms is not something that like just happens. I mean, it can take years, can't it? So,
so if you had to condense years worth of growth into 3 months, what would you do?
as far as the arm training, I probably would not really change my arm training because I can't really see how training something more often is going to be better than you already are. The only thing I can think of is reducing volume from other body parts so then arms have more recovery capabilities and then you can obviously train them like,
Okay. So
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think you can. You can't really do that. It's not really something you can do.
sure. Okay, and and literally, I would agree with you. But all I'm trying to say, I'm just trying to get through the mindset of like, if you want to grow the fastest amount in the shortest space possible, is what I'm trying to get across.
Food.
And the reason why I said,
Make your surplus.
say again.
Surplus.
Well, yeah. But the reason why I said, so the reason why I've been having this talk, right? And it came across when they sent over the low volume. I thought to myself, hold on, if we want to grow a body part in a shorter space of time, if there was a gun to my head and someone said, Ryan, grow your legs 2 inches in 6 months, what would I do? I would go monster volume. I would go volume on volume on volume. I would do stupid volume. That's what I would do. That's what I think would work. And then I thought to myself, hold on a minute. That's the way that I think I can grow extreme. Why don't I ever incorporate that in anything that I do?
Because you can't sustain it for long enough. But
okay, but for short spells you can.
But that's where that comes from. Where, like I said to you, you pull away from other body parts to allow for that.
So why doesn't anyone do this? So for example, I want to grow my legs in this off season. Let's say I've got a 4 or 5 month off season, yeah, for up until the end of the year. Why don't I reduce down back completely, shoulders completely, even arms a little bit, and go bonkers on legs, like 20 working sets twice a week. So
you are doing that, aren't you? You're
again?
focusing on quads and arms. Like last year, for example, I was training legs once every 9 days, and my quad volume was like 7 sets or something. So it was just barely like maintenance.
Okay, but my point is, yes, I do that, but I'm talking bonkers volume. I'm not talking like high volume. I'm talking crazy.
Because up to a certain point, you can only stimulate the muscle up to a certain point, and it gets redundant,
okay.
I think.
And I would tend to agree as well. But I just think to myself, if my life depended on it, I would certainly go that direction, is what I'm trying to say.
Try it.
So again, I'm just trying to like show you where the inner workings of my brain. I know that there's a finite you can like. There's only so much you can recover from. I get it. And you would need to reduce down volume elsewhere. But if your life depended on it, you would go crazy. You would just do it again and again and again and again. Think about velodrome cyclists.
Yeah.
Think about the repetitions they do, and look at their legs.
That's a volume thing.
That's my point. So why do bodybuilders not ever do that? Why are we so set in our ways, thinking it has to be this amount, this amount? Why don't we just go fucking crazy with volume? Why?
Yeah. I mean, I have done that for certain body parts.
And did it work?
For example, my arms. Like sometimes I'll train arms for an hour and a half. It's a crazy amount of fucking time to train arms.
So I did it as well in 2019 with my arms. I used to do a 600 rep session. So I
Yeah,
do 600 reps on my arms,
yeah.
and 100% they grew. Again, so now it just strikes me weird that this is how we know you can grow in a short space of
I
time.
think when it comes to that, though, you're probably going to run into issues of joint issues, and because how your knees can only take on so much volume. So let's say that yes, you go mental for like one session, you train legs for 3 hours, you're fucked, and you're like, had the best session ever. Next week you go and do that, but your knees aren't quite as good now. Your knees are giving you a bit of shit.
Sure. So you'd need to adjust the weight. You'd need to
I
do a low to moderate weight, crazy volume.
I think
Yes.
even at that point, your joints are still working because you're not lifting a plate aside. Let's say you go down from 10 plates aside on a leg press to 7. That's moderate. Let's say 10 plates is your 100% max, right? 70% of that would be 7 plates. That's
I
still
was,
a
I was, I was thinking more like 5. I'd go like 50%.
I don't mean,
Slow it down.
but
50,
then
60.
aren't you? But I think you either go high intensity, meaning closer to failure with obviously higher with higher weight, or you go lower volume. But you either do one or the other. So
Listen,
if you don't go quite to failure, you just do more of it.
hey, listen, like all very valid. I don't know the answer. I just thought I had the thought in my head, and I thought, if my life depended on it, I would do things outside of the box. And then I thought to myself, well, is there any validity to that? If the way to grow ginormous delts was to do 50 sets of lateral raises in a week, which people would go, what the fuck, 50 in a week? It's too much. But if you did that, you're telling me that you wouldn't have big shoulders.
You would, but maybe your chest might start to suffer. Again, it's a balance, isn't it? It's how much can you do the most amount you can in the most sustainable approach that you can sustain over time.
That's definitely the sensible answer. But as I say, for this scenario, I was thinking extreme. So let's say you've got a monster chest. Your chest is outweighs everything else. It overpowers everything else, and your delts lag. Doing those 50 sets a week, yeah. So it would even out. So just for like a month period, doing that, is there any merit to that? That's kind of where I don't know. I don't know. I've never heard anyone say that that's beneficial, but why not?
Again, like I said to you, when I last year, when I was training, because obviously I was trying to get my upper body to catch up to my lower, and I was training legs once every nine days, and I was doing my entire leg session was like 8 sets or something. So, and I found, yeah, it does definitely have a
Yeah.
merit in a way that all your work is upper body.
So this is it, man. Like, I just think like so. Yes, you run into recovery problems. That's kind of the thinking. People always thinking recovery, recovery, recovery. But then also, I think most people would be in agreement if you were just to go crazy volume on a certain body part for a specific amount of time, you would almost definitely see growth in that body part.
For sure, yeah.
So the two statements contradict each other. Too much volume and you can't recover, but loads of volume and you're going to grow. So it's
Yeah,
like,
but obviously you can recover as long as you can recover, but it has to be still within the volume that you can recover from systemically.
I get
Total.
it. Yeah. So there's a ceiling. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an interesting thought that I had in my head, and I thought to myself, fucking hell, if I want to grow my legs, maybe I do something that's really wacky, that's really out there, that's like crazy.
Try it.
Yeah.
Try it. I think that's the only way to find out. You try
If
it.
I were to do like 20 working sets on my quads, like 5 exercises,
Yeah, but that's
all
not
sets
too bad. If you're 5 exercises, 4 sets each, that's there or
all to
thereabout.
failure. I feel like that's a lot. I don't think many people do
Oh no,
that.
I don't think you can do that all to failure.
I don't again, but that's what I'm talking. I'm talking extreme. I'm talking like if I
Yeah, but no,
really
I don't think that would be good. I think you're gonna end up looking worse.
interesting. I don't even necessarily disagree with you. I just think it's an interesting like
Because I
thought
think
process.
you only go to a certain point. Okay, you know that when you go to the gym, and let's say you're training. I noticed that with chest more than anything else. I'm training chest, and let's say you get to a point when you're not even pumped anymore. It's just the
Oh,
muscle is just kind of like numb.
I've definitely been there. Yep, yep, yep.
So I think that's the point when you just kind of you're like, right, okay, I'm done. I'm done here.
Okay, yeah. So I definitely agree with that. Yeah, you eat into your own recovery capabilities by overdoing it. Yeah. So you work to that point, wherever that point is. You work
Yeah,
to it, then you stop, and then you
and you
allow a
stop.
couple of days, maybe a day or two, and then you go again. Exactly the same.
Yeah,
Exactly the same. And you keep doing it every like 2 days or so. If you're an assisted person, you can probably get away with that, and if you've reduced volume elsewhere, you can probably get away with it.
100%.
As I say, man, I don't disagree with anything you're saying, and I completely understand it's about what you can recover on. Get it? I just thought, if my life depended on it, and I did something, like I would probably aim towards that. I just would.
I mean,
I just
it's not
would.
even like as extreme as your life depending on it. It's an injury. Say you've hurt your shoulder, and you're like, right. So the only thing I can do is legs, but you can't row, you can't really press. So you gotta do legs. I would probably be training legs 3 times a week.
Same. Same.
And is that worth trying? Yeah, probably.
You've got an extreme lagging body part. Maybe it's worthwhile completely forgetting other body parts just for like 2 to 4 weeks. Maybe
Yeah.
it's not even enough. Maybe 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know.
If you
Just
look at
have it.
other sports, that's why periodization
Oh,
exists. You periodize things in different.
oh, absolutely. I do that with pretty much all of my clients. Like they'll have specific things that they're focusing and
Yeah.
reducing down. I think that's brilliant. But again, I just wanted to know where the logic fell down. The logic of volume, 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 volume. Then you can't
Well,
recover
I think if you
anymore.
think in any sense in life, if you've got 4 businesses and you're spreading 25% of effort into all of them, they're only going to sort of slowly, creep up. Whereas if you've got
Absolutely.
one business and you go ham fully in, chances are that's going to progress a lot quicker.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So, you
Yeah.
know, I think there's certainly a merit to that. Whether that works in bodybuilding terms, I think I need to try it and find out. I think for you though, that's probably only because of your knees. I don't think that's sustainable
I agree. I agree.
because
I
your
think
knees just won't be able to take that much
uh,
battering.
when I had the thought originally, I wasn't necessarily thinking about the specifics within it. I was just thinking about the logic of going crazy with volume. And let's say 20 sets is not even a lot. Let's say 30 then. Let's say 40. Like at what point does it just become utter bullshit? And at what point does it become, wow, you're going to see ginormous growth if you do that for like a month?
I think the only way to know that is, let's say if you do that, and then the next day your legs are they full or are they looking kind of like flat and deflated? Because sometimes you kill too much of
100%.
like glycogen, but you
Yeah.
just burn them out. Let's say
No,
sometimes
no.
when you wake up and you know you've had a good workout because you look at your legs and they look fuller, they look bigger the next day, and you're like, you can't see lines as such, but that you can tell you've done some like damage there because they look fuller, they're slightly sore, and then maybe you wait a couple of days and like they're good to go again. I think if you've overdone it, they'll just look flat and they'll just look dead, you know?
Yep. I don't disagree with that. I think there's obviously a point of diminishing returns. You're doing it for the sake of doing it, and there's no point anymore. Yeah, as I say, I wanted to hear your opinion on that. And as I say, I just think that I sway towards the volume side of things, and hence why when Nate sent forward the low volume, and his reasoning was, being a bigger guy, 280 to 300 pounds generally, said, you're not going to recover too well if you're doing too much volume. Was his thinking, and
I think that depends on the person. If you're used to training, if your cardiovascular system is fit enough for you to be able to do that, I don't see why not. I don't like long breaks in between sets because people that are doing these 2 minute 2 sets back off in a loading set, you're resting 5 minutes in between sets. I don't think you need that.
yeah, I think you just need as long as you need. Right? Depends on what you're doing, how hard you
Yeah.
went, and it depends on your fitness level. I take as long as I need. I literally never think about timings. I just take as long
No,
as just whatever. I fucking hate when you're in between texts and someone comes over and talks to you.
I don't get that.
Completely throws you off. Oh my god.
I
fucked.
don't get that because in the gyms I go to, either I go to a gym that people know not to disturb you, or if it's like a more like commercialized gym, I just make myself look like I'm about to fucking kill you if you speak to me. So
Yeah. The gym I go to, it's so friendly, it's so nice, King Gym.
yeah,
But it's just like sometimes I don't dread it. That's probably the wrong word, but I'm like, because I know I'm
you
going
know
to
we've
see
had
like
that
10
chat
people.
before. When I was moaning about this, when I was saying to you about like hating people coming up to you, and you're like, that's all right, I'll chat to people in between. So I'm like, no, because it's like it distracts you. It's like one person come and talk to you for about 5 minutes. That can ruin your session to where you're just ready to go on.
I had that. I had that not so long ago. I had that. I got to there was like 5 conversations, one after the other, and I was like, "What am I even doing?" Like I walked to the front door, and I was like, "No, come on, come on," and I fucking went and finished up. But I was ready to go. I was ready to go. Just killed it off completely. I fucking
And
like
even
it.
when you do finish off, you're not
Not
there.
the
You're
same.
kind of just like, right, let's just get it over and done with. And
Yeah. Just yeah. You almost like, oh, there's only 3 left. That's okay. There's only 3. Oh, there's only 2 left. So there's only 1 left. Like
yeah,
you just can't wait for it to be.
well, that's kind of how my workout is now.
Yeah. That's you now.
That's
Yeah.
me now.
Gosh.
So
I had a guy, and it's funny as well because obviously I said about Nath not being necessarily the right fit for me. I actually had a client leave me yesterday. He came from Jimmy Tonk, funny
all right.
enough, and he's been with me for 2.5 weeks. And he actually left me yesterday. He said that it's not the right fit for him as well. So I thought fair play. He was really honest. Like it wasn't like bitter, it wasn't anything. And I thought to myself, fair play. Like he he was like concerned that there wasn't enough protein around the workout.
Right.
He wanted like he was very big on like nuance within training. So for example,
I know what
has
you
to
mean.
has to be a pre-workout meal, it has to be a post-workout meal, and it has to be a decent serving of protein, and it has to be a certain amount of intra-workout, and it has to be like carnitine as well. Like he goes, I know it sounds weird, and maybe I'm wrong. But he goes, I like that nuance, I like those details. And I said, to be
Well,
honest
I
with you,
mean, if Jimmy wasn't prescribing like all that, how is Conti Sports going to sell all their fucking EAAs?
mate,
So or
yeah,
like the trained by JP or whoever the fuck he's in with. I can't even remember the last time I actually used EAAs. I think there's just a load of shit. It's nice in prep because you're flavoring your water, but outside of that, fuck that shit. I think it's a load of bullshit. Like,
yeah,
I'm not being funny. If you eat, a meal, let's say I don't know, let's say you train at 1 o'clock, right? And then you eat a meal at 9 o'clock, and then like 12 o'clock you have another meal. I mean, you'll be fine for like an
oh
hour
for
and a
sure,
half.
yeah. Uh, that's it, man. I actually, this guy, so his name's Jack. I actually screenshot his macro split. Uh, I sent it to him. Yeah, so he was concerned that he wasn't having enough protein, and I was like, he weighs 205 pounds,
Ugh.
and he was concerned he wasn't having enough protein. So I screenshot his macro split. Like I input it on. So yeah, he's on 386 grams of carbs, 45 fat, and 291 grams of protein.
Yeah,
Absolutely fine, right? And you obviously the daily intake is going to trump everything. That's the most important part,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
Especially when
he
his carbs are that high.
yeah. I mean, but he said he goes, I just don't know. And what? Oh, the other thing he said was, I feel like I'm smaller because I purposely put him in a deficit because I wanted to tidy him up. So he said, I'm smaller, but I'm not lean. And I was like, yeah, that's normal. Like that happens to everyone. But
I mean, that if that didn't happen, then everyone should be hiring you
yeah,
because you've got
but
the fucking secret.
yeah, exactly, man. No, so yeah, so he was like concerned. I could tell that he was a bit off. His check-in was a bit off. Said, I feel like I'm smaller and I just feel like there's not enough protein. Like, he was just off. So I said, mate, tell me. Like, open up. You don't need to hide. And he was like, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if this is going to work for me long term. And he was really cool. Like I say, so this is no hate. It's not me being
Yeah,
aggy
yeah,
or
yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah,
I thought
yeah.
to myself, fair play. And we amicably shook hands and that was it.
You know what they do though? How they in their camp, how they do that, the whole pre-workout, intra-workout thing.
Oh,
Don't
I said it to him. I said, I know someone called Louis, who was with Jimmy. I said, I know, like they love all the fucking intra stuff and like, yeah, they
when
love it.
Louis sent that shit to me, and he's like, so they call it a pre-shake, and then they call it a peri-shake, and they've got like peri shake or some bullshit like that, where they've got
Perry
like
shake?
three, five, huh?
A Perry shake?
Peri shake, yeah.
What?
Peri workout, it's called. Peri work means like intro workout, but it's not the intro workout, it's a different one.
Perry?
I mean,
Oh my god!
they'll split their EAAs and their dextrin and all the other shit that they take, creatine,
It's separate.
in separate, yeah. So you'll be drinking your sugars, and then what you'll do is you'll keep it in a separate bottle, and you'll down it like midway through the workout. Because the idea is, let's say you eat your meal at 1 o'clock, you eat your meal at 12 o'clock. You're then training at 2 o'clock. So then you'll be having the carbs, but then every 2 hours you want like a spike, or every 3 hours, whatever the fuck, you want a spike. So they'll down the shake midway through the workout, not the shake, but just like the EAAs, just in a small little bottle. Then you'll like obviously carry on your workout, then you'll finish. So then you're never missing out on those like 2 hour like window of protein. That's Kuba's thing. That's his fucking shit. He come up with that shit.
So this is why he obviously didn't like the way I did it, because
Yes.
he's been exposed to that.
Yeah.
And do you know what? He's entitled to want that. That's fine. That's just not how I would ever work.
No.
Ever.
I never did that. I mix all of the shit in the same bottle.
100%.
I can't be fucked.
In one,
Yeah.
all in one. Fucking right. Oh man, that's fucking madness. I can't believe that people could go through that effort. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Do you know what the crazy thing about that is, bro? Most people who do that, how good are they?
Wow.
Shit. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right? They are.
Yeah.
Most people who are doing that shit are fucking average. And when I say average, I mean compared to like bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Compared to the average everyday person, sure. But
Well,
like,
I tell you who come up with that shit, right? And there's probably scientific merit to it when you got to have aminos, like, but then you're sleeping for however long. You're not having aminos in that time, are you? So and it's not the end of the fucking world. But obviously JP, I think he's the one that came up with it, because he's obviously got the EAAs and all that shit. So all these different products. So, you know, that's probably his kind of idea. And obviously that trickles down into all of his little followers like Jimmy and Kuba and all of that. So they kind of follow that, where, you know, you eat your meal, but no, 2 hours later you got to have an intra shake with aminos, and then normally you'll finish your workout and you'll have like another one. So you're having fucking EAAs 7 times a day.
mate, that's so overkill. It's funny because people assume like, yeah, like the food that you had 2 hours ago, that's no longer in your body.
I know.
Yeah, that's gone. Gone. It just fell down a trapdoor. It's gone. Like fucking hell.
It's like a bit of chicken. I mean, a piece of steak might take a fucking day to actually, like, you know, sometimes they say you get sick or something, and you eat something and then you get sick in the night, and you're like, what the fuck? I had this for breakfast. You're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure. Your body is assimilating the food. Like, so even like when the waste comes out, like, so when I said, there's a polite way of saying shit, when the shit comes out, that's not the end. Your body's still assimilating the food. You're still utilizing that energy. You're still like, it doesn't just go in your body and it's gone. You know?
That's why a lot of people that obviously with the whole carbon up thing, it's like, oh no, I must carb up. And it's like, mate, you know, you're 1 day of carbon up, like you're still, that food is probably still in your fucking bloodstream, like, you know.
And very rare instances have you completely depleted yourself from the food from yesterday. Like depletion workouts would be more like cardio based stuff. Like if you were like to hammer cardio or some shit like that, maybe I
don't even think that cardio is actually enough to trigger that. I think you need to be like a high, like low high, what's it called, like those like marathon runners or something like that.
Like if you were to play like a game of football, like a high intensity game of football, it's like it's hard as fuck, right? Or rugby or something. But when you're just doing some fucking fly, I think you're gonna be all right.
No, I think you've got about 1,000 grams of stored glycogen for most people.
It depends on the person, doesn't it? It depends on muscle mass.
Yeah, but roughly.
Probably a little bit less than that, I should imagine, actually, I think. But
well, if you think about liver glycogen, muscle glycogen, you know, potentially. But
yeah, muscle glycogen, liver glycogen, there's only a little bit in the liver, but it reminds me of powerlifters. Powerlifters, you know, they believe like
they fucking donuts,
yeah, like between sets, they think that the food that they eat, like the fucking Skittles or whatever the fuck, you know, it's gonna make me strong, bro. It's gonna make me strong. Like, oh
It's just a placebo. But look, if that works, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
Good point. That's a good point.
Like, but
well, that's kind of my point for this Jack dude as well. If that's your shit, good for you. Like I'm not hating on you at all. That's just not how I work. So yeah, it's fine. So
I couldn't do that.
But he inspired me. Him being so honest and brutal with me like that. When I say brutal, yeah. And I thought to myself, wow, fuck it. Well, that's kind of how I feel about Nath as well. So that's what I spoke to Nath today. So,
yeah. How long did you wait before you had a chat with him?
A week. Yeah, about a week. I let it settle. He sent me the video about a week ago, and then got back to him today.
I mean, look, when you said about going with him, and I really like Nate. Like as a person, he is, and as a coach, I mean, he's obviously produced results. But when you said to me that you wanted to go with him, what did I say to you? I said, I don't think you should.
Because of the JP crew thing.
Exactly. Yeah, because of that. Because I know what you're like, and I know that's not you, and that's not how you like to work.
Well, when Craig was on the podcast, I said it. Like, what's he like with supplements? And Craig was like, that's a weird question. And it's because I wanted to know. I just don't subscribe to that. That's just not how I work.
But I think Craig's a lot more into the. He's a lot more. He buys into that a lot more.
Craig definitely prefers that kind of stuff to me.
Yeah, he does. He buys into that a lot more than you would do.
Without question.
Fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It works for him.
Yep.
But me knowing you, and when you said that, I was like, that's either it's not going to work for a long time, or you just want. Because I follow quite a lot of. I follow Nath's logs on the JP forum. Like I follow what he does, so I know how he works and what he does.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily the best fit for me.
So it wouldn't be for me. Does it work for other people? Sure, 100%. There's no dispute in that. But that wouldn't work for. But as far as enjoyment, like if you were to put that into practice, well, it works, sure. But I wouldn't really enjoy that. I don't think.
Completely agree. It's nothing personal, and it's not saying it doesn't work. It's just saying for me. And to go back just to finalize on that subject is basically, I've got probably 4 good years left, and I have to do what I want, not what someone else is going to do. And I believe those extra percentages come from solid prep, hard training, being in a surplus for a little bit longer. Like, do you know what I mean? That's where the muscle's going to get built, and a good cycle as well. Obviously, like the anabolics are obviously going to help. So I don't need to be doing those daily trackers or you know what I mean. So yeah.
No, I mean, and it's not like if you just think like prior to 2020, none of that shit even existed.
I feel like, well, I actually said it to Nate as well, which might have been a bit offensive, but I said, I just feel like people put that in their programs to bulk out the product to make it seem better.
I think so.
Which some people would disagree with that, but they'll be like, well, no, you need to know this, you need to know that. I'm like, every day.
It's not so much they do it intentionally, but they do it because other people do it. So in a way, you're kind of like, it's a little bit like the like GH thing. We all use it because other people use it. Sure. Because I know, oh, my competitor is using it. So if I lose because I didn't use it, it's going to play on your mind.
Great point. Yeah.
So it's not so much that it's actually such a great thing and you're missing, and you're going to miss out if you're not using it, but it's just because other people use it. You don't want to feel like you're missing out.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's like I feel like as well. I want to say it's not that I don't think information like that's not relevant at all. It's just daily. I don't want to do that shit all the time. It's just overkill.
I think it is relevant, but for someone at your level, it's not, because you don't have to record it for it to for him to pick up on it on the check-in. You would have voiced that way before.
Yeah,
like for example, when I first started with Hilly and we put the metformin in, and I know that metformin, I just can't take it. Gives me the shits. I just can't use it. So I said to him, look, I've used it. It just doesn't really work for me. I always get the shits. He's like, okay, try it. Maybe, you know, who knows? Try it. Let's see. We tried it. Sure enough, he did that. He's like, pull it. But I didn't wait 3 weeks to tell him.
Yeah, sure.
Like 2 days in, I was like, it's doing it. He said, all right, give it a couple more days, just because, sometimes you get that initial, which we stayed on for about 10 days on it, and it was still doing that. And I said to him, he's like, pull it.
I feel like that's what Amy said that to me as well. She's like, well, if you do use it, like, be careful because it's something that makes people upset stomach. So I
Hey, it's horrible. It's fucking awful.
can't even be
But some
argued.
people adjust to it. I've never been able to adjust to it. And if I'm honest, I don't think it actually has that much of a benefit for you to actually warrant using it.
Well, it's just to do well, surely like insulin would supersede it.
Well, it's not about that. It's obviously insulin. Obviously, it's about increasing your insulin sensitivity, which insulin doesn't do. It's about increasing insulin. But how much does that? How much does it actually increase it? Like, there's no measuring stick for it.
I guess being leaner is the way, isn't it? Like reducing body fat down. But I don't know. But anyway, mate, we should wrap up because I've got to go for a walk this evening.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
mate, been a pleasure as always.
All right, mate. We'll catch up next
Thanks a lot,
week.
buddy. See you later, mate.